This up and make sure I'm live over here. All right, my friends, what's going on? Welcome to Contractor Fight Live. I got my handy dandy iPad here, just pulling it up, making sure that we're live. And my friends, what's going on? There we are. Little delay and everything. All right, good. So I just want to make sure and we're doing okay. Friends, what's going on? There we are. Little delay and everything. All right, good. So I just want to make sure. Oh, is that coming back your way? What's going on? Here we are. Little delay and everything. All right, good. So I just want to make sure. Oh, is that coming back your way? What's going on? Here we are. Little delay and everything. All right, good. Well, that's quite the echo. Well, that's quite the echo. Let's hope we don't do that again. All right, see, I was testing it. I was just talking there to make sure that we're okay. Eric, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good.
All right, see, I was testing it. I was just talking there to make sure that we're okay. Oh, it's coming through on your volume. We're here. We're picking up your microphone or your speakers. So, Kevin, what's going on? Sparky Official, how are you? Seeing there'll probably be another echo here in a second. Not sure why that didn't do that earlier when we were shooting the shit before we went live. That's all right. Bob Adams, what's up, buddy? Aaron, how you doing? Okay. So I just want to make sure that Eric, yeah, he muted himself.
I did mute myself. I was trying to see if that fixed the echo.
All right, you know what we're going to do?
I did mute myself. I was trying to see if that fixed
Tom's
the
going to
echo.
plug in. All right, you know what we're going to do? Thanks for your patience, everybody. We didn't have this problem a minute ago. Thanks for your patience, everybody. We didn't have this problem a minute ago. Thanks for your patience, everybody. We didn't have this problem a minute ago. Thanks for your patience, everybody. We didn't have this problem. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Nod.
Can you hear me?
Oh, wait, hold on. I'm on this stupid. I got to switch it on. There.
Can you hear me?
Oh, wait, hold on. Stupid. I got to switch it on.
Can you hear me?
Oh, wait, hold on. Stupid. I got to switch it on. I don't know who said Tom's in a better mood today, but thank you. You got to do the StreamYard accept permissions thing or whatever. So, Eric, I don't know if I can unmute you or not, because whenever I do, if you have earbuds, plug them in, buddy. That's going to be the only thing that I think is going to work here. I don't know why it wasn't doing this, guys. We got on here. We tested it. You all know me. This is my first live I've ever done. So, of course, we've got audio issues. That's a joke. So while Eric is digging around, yeah, you can hear, but there's still an echo. Yeah, I don't know. I'm hearing it back through my speakers, which means it's coming from Eric. And I even heard it in the headphones. So anyway, we had none of this till we went live, man. But you know what? We're still going to make this happen. We're going to work this shit out because this is what we do. If you're an entrepreneur, you work stuff out. Okay. Shit, if you're a contractor, you know your whole life is like pulling it out of your tail half the time and all that other good stuff. I'm good. No echo. That's because I muted Eric. Boston Plays YouTube. So Eric, give me the nod when you're plugged in and ready, and I'll unmute you. And then we'll test it again, fellas.
I'm still hearing the echo.
Okay. I hear you when you talk. Are we good?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I wonder if it's because we were, I bet it's because we had the screen share still going on my end.
Well, damn it, Eric. No, keep it on. Put it back on. Put them back on. Put them back on. It was working. Let's not mess with it. Now I can't hear you.
No, we're good. I think we're good now. It's because my
right.
screen is still being shared.
All right. Whew. We got through that one, everybody. And look at that. We're only 2 minutes late on our start time, which is why I went on 4 minutes early. Just so you know.
There we go.
But anyway, everybody, how we doing here? Yeah, please give StreamYard permission to see your name with your comments if you are on Facebook at streamyard.com/Facebook. Okay. I see Sparky and Kevin. I'm gonna guess that Sparky official's an electrician. Just going out there on a limb. I see Aaron and Bob and EM in California. EM, make sure you vote tomorrow. Boston plays YouTube or YT. That's what I think that is. How's everyone doing today in Fightland? What do we got going on? Get active in those damn chat boxes, people. Come on. It is Monday, the 13th of September. We are almost half the month is almost gone. I'm just double checking my feed here, making sure we're good everywhere. I suppose that's why I have Roz on my team, so I can just talk. Okay, anyway. All right. So, scale of 1 to 10. Can't use 7, my friends. I'll introduce our guest here in a minute, so hold tight. Scale of 1 to 10. Can't use the number 7. How is September going for you and your business? What do you got for me? What do you got? We got Alex up in Washington. What's going on, man? Alex lies. EM. Alex is an 8. All right, that's good. Guys, we don't use a 7 because it's non-committal. It's like saying a chick is a 7. What does that mean? That could go either way, man. Okay, so that's my world. But anyway, Kevin's got a 3. Boston's got a 5. Got a 9. Aaron said we had another 100K call today with Logan. Another great call. Yeah, I heard really good things about that. I haven't caught the replay yet. Eddie's a 9. All right, good stuff, my friends. So Aaron's a 9. You know, Alex, I almost said Lee's, and then I'm like, no, it says lies. Okay, I honest to God swear on, whatever. I was going to go a million different directions there. That it was probably lease. Is the E at the end silent or not? This is a tough name, man. I ain't gonna lie. Anyway, Eric, anyone ever butcher your name?
Yeah, a couple times.
What's the worst you've heard of it? What worst ever?
Oh, Fortenberry, probably Fortenberry. I mean, it's 410 berry. 3 very simple words, but
yeah, it is very simple.
When it gets long,
4, not the number 4, but 4.
Yep.
10 like the number, and berry like blueberry.
You got it.
Raspberry. And speaking of berries, when you all say the word raspberry, do you pronounce the P? Because there's a P in there. It's raspberry is how it's written. What do you do with that one? Huh? I don't know. But my friends, it's good to see everybody here tonight on Contractor Fight Live. We've got a lot going on in the fight right now. For those of you that are going to Denver, a little over a week from today, it's actually a week from this Wednesday, we start our Mile High Profit Summit event. Oh, and that's what I had to have. I had to have my notes in front of me here. There we go. Boom. But anyway, I'm excited to hang out with everybody there and all that good stuff. But guys, I wanted to introduce you to my buddy Eric Fliesenberry. Just kidding. Eric Fortenberry with JobTread. and he's doing some really cool things in the world. He's got a great construction management software. He's one of our sponsors at the Mile High Profit Summit. And so we thought it'd be a good idea just to come on, talk a little bit about his platform and history of his company and where he's been, where they're going, and things like that, and give you guys an opportunity to pick his brain on any of this stuff. And even if you're not going to the event, guys, I want you to go check out his stuff, because this is a big need for contractors all over the place, is this whole CRM, CMS, whatever you want to call it. So Eric, welcome to the fight, man. Glad you're here.
Appreciate it. Excited to be here, Tom.
Yeah. So where are you at right now?
Dallas, Texas.
You're in Dallas.
Yep.
All right. As we talked not too long ago, I was just there. I was there twice within like a 3-week period. And then,
for your daughter, something like that?
Yeah. One of our daughters had some ballet down there, so we had to go drop her off and all that good stuff at Dallas at this ballet intensive camp. So anyway, man, I appreciate you being here. He's down in Texas. So dude, let's start with this. What's JobTread?
Yeah. So it's estimating and project management for, construction companies, contractors, builders, really any job-based business is able to use our tool to manage, everything from your estimates to managing your cost, sending out your purchase orders, work orders, all the vendor billing, invoicing. I mean, it's a big platform, not gonna lie. There's a lot of features and functions in there that really can benefit a lot of different types of contracting, building businesses that, it's a whole lot to manage. I mean, managing a construction company is hard. There's no doubt about it. Got a lot of moving pieces.
Yeah. So let me ask the group this here real quick, guys. A lot of moving pieces in the business. What is the most challenging thing for you guys as far as your systems and processes and keeping all that stuff together? Just throw it in the chat box. I'm curious. This is one of those cardinal sins, like when you're an attorney, you never ask a question you don't already know the answer to. I just broke that law because I don't know what's coming our way right now, but we'll be all right.
Yeah, let's see it.
Yeah. What do you guys got? Type it in there. There's usually a little bit of a delay, so that's all right. But yeah, man, I'm sitting here. If I just look at all the things, and I won't get into every bit of it here because that's why you're here, but you got budgeting and bidding and estimating and customer portal. I'm looking at your website right now. Change orders, purchasing, invoicing, job costing, and other integrations and stuff. There's a lot that really goes in to this whole business thing, you guys. So here we got a couple things here: estimates, keeping track of lead status, estimates, and job costing. And hey, full disclosure here, I actually, Eric, I don't know if we talked about this on the phone at one point or whatever. We were running 300-400 projects a year, whatever it was back in the day. And I had tried, and the world's much different. There's a lot more softwares now and things like that than there was in the early 2000s, guys. All right. Yeah. Kevin's high flooring and it's high lead volume, right? So yeah, that was like painting. And so I got so frustrated with, nothing seemed to do everything to the degree that I wanted it to do it.
Sure.
So I ended up just using spreadsheets for everything. That was just me. That was my thing. My lead tracking spreadsheet was like on steroids. I could filter it, and I got it from somebody else. Okay. So I wasn't smart enough to create my own, but where I could filter like leads by source, and then I got to the point where I could filter my gross profit by source and all that other crap and close rate and all this other garbage. So I just kind of scratched my own itch with that. And I know a lot of people that they're just not really happy with, they get one certain CRM or software and it doesn't do something else. And now they got to have another one and this and that. So I was pretty excited the first time we got on the phone and talked, because it sounded like you guys did a lot of good stuff. So
I mean, managing a business out of a spreadsheet is, you got to start somewhere, right?
Yep.
And so when you're small, when it's just you, if you're the only one managing the sales and the business development, I mean, totally makes sense. I mean, it's, I think Excel is probably the starter. I mean, I guess maybe paper, but, Excel is a good starter for, for everyone. But, at some point you got to kind of take it up a level and, you want to scale your business. You can't do everything. I mean, you make a couple formula errors, copying over some spreadsheets, things like that. I mean, there's a lot of ways that, the spreadsheets don't kind of hold you over too long.
Yeah. So I got a few questions here that we're going to dig into. But before we do that, scale of 1 to 10, can't use 7. Actually, you know what, guys? I'm going to see if you're all paying attention. I'm going to change it up on you. All right, ready for this? So I'm going to steal this from my buddy Logan Shinholzer. All right, so from a scale of a -2 to a 2.
Interesting.
From -2 to a 2. So -2 is like it sucks. 0 is like neutral. And a 2 is like, yeah. All right. What is my people watching, what is your comfort level with CRMs and technology and things like that? I'm curious what our live audience is at, where they're at tonight on that. So between a -2, a -1, a 0, a 1, or a 2, -2 to 2. Okay. You guys remember math? Okay. That what they call that line thing. All right. So EM is a -2. Facebook users a 2. You got to give StreamYard permission so we know who you are, Facebook user. FU, foo. Oh, look at that. Foo. Facebook users like foo, like the Shin Foo and other things. All right. So come on, type it in there. Don't be bashful. You got people, y'all on here watching this thing. You got some thumbs. -2 to a 2. We got a -2 again. Okay.
Oh, another -2. Boy.
All right. So, which I'm not going to wait for all the answers to come in, but 2 out of 3 so far are -2s, right? So, Eric, this is why I think so many people blow off using this stuff, right?
No.
And so there's the pain of, we got a 1. Yeah. All right. So there's the pain. There's the pain of learning something new and implementing it. Okay. Or there's the pain of a chaotic life and a chaotic business and things like that. Right.
No.
So anyway, that was my little poll there for everybody, just because I want to hear that. But before we get into this, how did you end up running JobTread? What's a little bit of your history, your background? Give us the story on that, so people watching know that you're not just full of shit.
Sure. So JobTread is it's actually my second software company. My first software company I started right out of college. It was at my first job. Basically started selling software to higher education. We sold it to 650 universities in 13 countries, had over 20 million users on our site, and we got acquired by a private equity firm. So kind of gone through the whole, building a business and selling it. It's pretty exciting, not gonna lie. After that, was getting a little bored though, and I had a buddy of mine who called me over to his company. He was running a commercial GC in Dallas, and said, "Hey, can you're a software guy. Can you help us figure out how we can scale our business?" And they were just kind of struggling. They were using a whole lot of Google Sheets, and they had QuickBooks, and like just trying to tie it all together. And then they had this whole paper folder system. And so I went in there and said, "Hey, look, let's kind of look at your current processes." Tried to really dive deep into their business and understanding how they were currently operating. And one thing led to another, and they essentially went and looked at all the software out there and did a real deep dive into the construction management space. I mean, looked at everything from Procore to Buildertrend, CoConstruct. I mean, Joyce. The list goes on and on. There's a lot of software out there, no doubt. And my takeaway from it though was just like it was either really expensive software. I mean, Procore practically wants your firstborn, or it was really antiquated software, and it just kind of felt very clunky and rigid, and it felt like it was like I had to use it their way, the highway, and so it was really hard for me to make a recommendation on what we should implement. And I told the guys, like, I don't know. I mean, we kind of just sort of got this feeling like nothing was really going to truly meet our needs. We had this idea of exactly what was needed for their business, but we just couldn't find it. And so they were just like, "Well, can you build us something?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know about building a one-off solution." They're like, "Come on." I was like, "Well, look, tell you what, my deal is essentially you make me CEO, I'll take over, I'll give you 1 year, and we'll see what we can do." And at that point, when I first took over, we were about 5 million in revenue, 10 employees. And long story short, the end of that first year, we grew from 5 to 8 million in sales, and we increased our gross profit by 43%. So we were able to consistently hit our profit margins because we implemented a solution. We got organized. We built out some processes and some tools that enabled us to really streamline the business. And so the end of that year is just like, all right, this is too good to leave sitting here with this one, company. It was a great experience, but basically at that point I left and essentially funded JobTread, recruited a bunch of my former developers and employees from my last company. These guys are extremely talented, have done a phenomenal job. And so over the last, I guess, almost 3 years now, they rebuilt the first version of JobTread in a much more scalable fashion. It multi-tenanted. My first version was not very good. It worked for one company, but it wasn't going to scale. And so I brought in the pros who know exactly how to do this, and they basically kind of rebuilt it. And we had a closed kind of small beta last year where we had a small mix of kind of contractors, GCs, remodelers, builders, and then we basically just opened it up this year in January. Started kind of just promoting it to the public, running ads, kind of getting out to the conferences and events. And I mean, we got a nice little hockey stick going, pretty good growth. And yeah, we're off to the races. I mean, at this point, I tell people, look, we're not reinventing the wheel. We're just building a much better mousetrap, and we're leveraging modern technology. We got the advantage of just some really awesome technology that's come out in the last couple of years that, that let us build really awesome software that's, a lot more intuitive, easy to use. We're trying to make this thing simple. I wholeheartedly want it to be easy, to learn and to use. I don't want to be another, kind of clunky, we're going to add every bell and whistle and make this thing complex, because that's what the market already has,
Mm-hmm. So I want to get into that in a little bit, the simplicity part of it, but I'm curious, for those that aren't familiar, you shared your growth 3 million to, what was it, 8 million, or 5 million to 8 million?
5 to 8. Yep.
5 to 8, and an increase in 43% gross profit and all this other stuff. How does a system like this do that for you?
I mean,
Like,
it's
because let me just real quick here,
Go for
because earlier you saw some of the negative twos and the stuff like that came in, and sometimes this, and I will just tell you, this is what I see. This has been my experience with people coaching them for many years. They'll go and they'll buy the latest app, the latest software. They'll install it. They'll fart around with it a little bit, and then they just kind of don't touch it after that. Okay. And so they never experience the full benefit of something like this. So I'm curious, I guess. So I'll ask two questions. How does that happen? Like, how does a system like this help you make more money? Number one. And then I guess the number two question here would be, how is yours simpler and a better mousetrap than the things you've seen on the market in the past?
Those are both great questions. I mean, I think at the end of the day, probably, I think the market estimates like 80% of contractor businesses haven't yet adopted, really any software, CRM, kind of construction management system. I mean, we see a lot of people using QuickBooks. They've got kind of accounting system is usually the first one that we see implemented. But, at the end of the day, even QuickBooks doesn't really help you with job costing and understanding, kind of the full insight that you can get here. But, one, you got to make a commitment to want to organize your business and to implement, technologies, tools and processes, and you got to have the right people on the team, so like being willing to adopt, a system and saying we want to grow and scale our businesses, number one, and then the software can help you get organized. At the end of the day, though, the biggest takeaways I had running this GC and the biggest issues, I mean, there are really two main reasons why we didn't hit our target profit margins. We either misbid the job or we misran the job. And so when I dug into the bidding side of this, I found that there are two different things. One of the co-founders, I mean, the guy is phenomenal. He understands construction, 25 years in the business. He could look at any job and say, that's going to cost X, and he just sort of innately knew it. And he was usually, plus or minus, $5,000, $10,000. He's pretty good at, coming up with with a back of the envelope number. But the problem was when the customer accepted that order and he handed it off to the project manager, said, now go get us our 30, 40%. Project manager said, how in the hell did you come up with that? How am I, they got no insight. And so that was kind of the first issue, and so, really what we did is we created a budgeting tool And I realized that like we had to budget our job. If you can't figure out what this job's going to cost you, then you can't accurately price it.
Right.
And so like our budget first mentality was the biggest takeaway. Now, the other big thing I found, and it took me a long time to figure this out, there were two groups of kind of estimators and salespeople. Some of them, they always came pretty close. And then some of them were just always way under. And it took me forever to realize that the group that was way under, they were using markup to calculate their sales price when the other guys had already figured out to use margin. Well, if you're targeting a 30% profit margin and you use a 30% markup, you're only going to get a 23% profit. And so they were literally just shooting themselves in the foot right out of the gate every single time. And so we built that into our tool to automatically calculate the price, based on your cost and your target profit margin. And I love, you say it every day and all the time. I mean, take your materials and your labor and double it. That's a great way to get a 50% profit margin. I mean, if that's if that works and you're winning deals, by all means, there you go. But like, if you think you're going to get a 50% markup and then that's going to get you your 50% profit margin. I mean, a lot of people don't really realize the difference between markup and margin. And so that was a huge, kind of takeaway from seeing this. And it took me so long to figure it out, the difference and how these two calculations, were kind of really, they're affecting our job profitability, so having that tool, in place, being
Takes
able
it
to
out of their hands to make mistakes in math.
Exactly. And then just managing your costs too. Like if you don't ever stop and track your cost on a job by job basis, you're never going to understand where you're underbidding, overbidding, where you're losing money. And so like our tool and it's flexible, if you can get as granular and as detailed as you want. Now, a lot of people don't want to get that detailed, and they still keep it pretty high level. But at the end of the day, tracking your cost and then reflecting back on that to understand where you made money and where you lost money, never make the same mistake twice. I think that's like the worst thing you can do is just, do the same thing over and over and over again, and you're losing money. Like you can't scale a business if you're not profitable on a job by job basis.
Yeah. I want to tell a quick job costing story here. So, many years ago, we're painting all these houses and buildings and stuff like that. And we had a software on an iPad that it was an estimating software. And, we, some guys will be familiar with this term, but there's a term called production rates. A lot of guys, believe it or not, are not familiar with that term, but a production rate is how long under normal conditions does it take you to do this thing? Okay. It could be sand 1 foot of baseboard. It could be install a door, paint a door, whatever. And so we had the software that it was an estimating software. And guys, one of the benefits of a system that does estimating, job costing, all the things that we're talking about here with Eric is this is scalable. Like he was talking about the guy writing it on the back of the envelope and handing it to the production team, right? That's not scalable because it's really hard to communicate a lot of these things. And training salespeople is actually one of the hardest things for contractors because you just know. I mean, just about everybody on here who's worked in the trades, or shoot, Eric, you and your programmers and your coding guys, they can pretty just go, yeah, that's around whatever, right? But if you don't have a system to methodically go through estimating a job. So I'm setting that up to share this job costing story. So we would job cost, and our crew leaders would give an account every week in the operations meeting for how they did on the jobs, where they're at on the current jobs and this and that. And we had them job cost the job, or at least report on it. Okay. Sure. And so I remember one time they wanted to talk to me because I was running like the estimating and sales and all that other stuff. And they said, hey, we've noticed something on the scopes of work that you give us. And this is because we job cost. I said, what are you noticing? He says, you don't give us enough time to paint baseboards. Okay. Consistent, like all the crews, they would just, anytime it was baseboard work, didn't matter if it was on carpet, hardwood floor. And guys watching this, stick with me here a minute. Okay. Because normally that's where the conversation stops, okay? Where your guys who's responsible for the job, your guys in the field, they're just bitching about not having enough time, right? And so when we never get enough time. To their credit, they said, hey, we don't have enough time on baseboards, but we noticed you give us about 15 minutes per door too much to paint doors. So because I had that information, so let me poll the group here real quick. Why is that a problem? Okay, because if on an average job, right, we're winning on the doors, we're losing on the base. If I'm just going to use those two things. So type in the box why that's a problem. I got to reach my vitamin water here. Hold on. Refill it. There we go. Come on. Don't be bashful. Don't be bashful.
You know, it's interesting how many, you know, contractors I see that just, they really don't have a great way to track all their costs and their time, and they're not kind of, you know, if you don't have a system to input it, where do you put it? How do you keep track of it? I mean, your bills are going out, you know, but it's like.
All right. So Klotz, you know, you got the closest thing here. It's not something that's consistent. Blah, blah, blah. I know other people are maybe typing, maybe not. So I'll answer it for you. Here was the problem. If I'm not as accurate as I can be on our production rates and the actual estimate of the job, if I'm not as accurate as I can be, what if you have 6 months of baseboards? That's right, Mike. Right? Like if all we had were baseboards, I'd be underbidding the base. And if all we had were doors, here was the other thing. Let's just say, and it could be, guys, it could be a whole job. It doesn't have to use base or doors. But if I'm bidding a certain home for 100 man hours, when we can really do it in 80, I'm losing work. Okay. I'm now overbidding what I need to hit in our world, our 50% gross profit and things like that. Okay. And so that's why, you know, I believe the estimating thing, guys, is part art and part science. The science is like, this is how many square feet of base that we can hang or paint under normal conditions, or here's new base and things like that. Now, and the art part is access to the thing, how much repair work, you fill in the blank, how much custom and all this other shit, whatever your industry is. So guys, this job costing thing's huge. So because they were able to do that, we had that data. My crews came to me and they said, hey, can you give us more time on the base? So I just gave more time to the base, a lot more time.
Yep.
And I took 15 minutes off the average door that was in our system. And then we were more accurate. And you touched on this earlier, Eric. Like, we want to know why we're winning or losing. It's not enough to just get your ass kicked on a job or, you know, score a touchdown on a job, right?
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
we want to know why. Why did I lose? Why did I win? And what can we do about it? So, okay, so let's go into the next part. How are you guys simpler than other things that you were seeing out there?
You know, before we go to that, one thing I want to say, like, one of the things when we looked at kind of the operation side of it, so we used a lot of 1099 subs. I mean, we basically, you know, didn't have any, you know, employed workers. So it wasn't, their hours weren't necessarily tracked, but we were still, and this is when I started, we were still, you know, basically doing time and material jobs. Well, the problem with that, and what I found was that, you know, the incentives were not aligned for everyone. You know, if I told a sub that they could go out there and, you know, basically tell me how many hours it was going to take, I think it'll take, you know, 20, and they go out and they can log as many hours as they want. And then I turn around and bill that to the customer. I mean, that'll work to some extent. But at the end of the day, the problem was, and I actually went and I followed a couple crews around, and I found that, you know, a 3-person crew went to Home Depot for 3 hours to pick up materials. And so my mind almost exploded. I was like, that is like just a colossal waste of time and money. And the problem was for them, they're getting paid hourly. They had no incentive to get that job done quicker. And so, you know, it's just not a good alignment. So we really tried to switch our model. I mean, obviously service, you know, based on demand type work where, you know, you got to send someone, you know, got a pipe burst and, you know, basement's flooding. Sure. Send someone immediately. We got some rates for that. Okay. But like when you're custom bidding jobs and trying to figure out how long it's going to take, you know, we really switched to essentially sending out, you know, bid requests. We made all of our subs start bidding on how long it would take them and how much they would charge us. And then when we selected the winning bid, we put that into our budget, added our margin, and we had a fixed rate, a guaranteed price that we were going to pay our subs. And you know what? If they said it was going to take 5 days and they did it in 3, awesome. You know, more power to you. You move on to the next job. If it takes you 7, that's on you. I already built in 5 days at that rate into my budget. And so I was able to so accurately bid the job but I didn't have that,
Yeah.
that variable, with the sub going to just, run off and take forever. It was such a better way to control our costs. And that really helped us rein in, a lot of that kind of just extra wasted time and money.
I love that. And I want to say one thing about the sub thing, you guys. I'm hearing this a lot lately that, oh, subs are flaking out on me. They're not showing up on my jobs. They're blowing me off and this and that. Total side note here, but it's just you having a system like this and job costing and stuff and estimating. Guys, if you're not taking some time, maybe once a quarter, to sit down with each sub that you use and just go over like, hey, this is what I have for this.
Yep.
This is what I have for this. How's that working for you? Where can I be better? Treat it just like you would with your employees, guys. And I promise they'll be more loyal to you because they'll feel like you're in their corner instead of being the GC or builder or whatever you are, that's just out to screw over the subs and make all the money. Because most GCs and builders and remodelers and stuff that I know that sub things out are good dudes that want their people to make money.
Yep.
Okay. So guys, whether you have employees or subs, you should be using something like this. So, so who's this for? Let's dig into that.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's anyone, contractors, builders, remodelers, GCs. Like if you're running a job-based business and you have to get out there and custom bid every job, that's really where we kind of focused our initial, efforts is like, how do we have a tool that can manage any size job, any type of job, and so that's where, again, our budget builder is a key feature within JobTread. And so it'll work for any job-based business. If you got complex, jobs, even if you're building from a template, you can have job templates, you can set up these assemblies and we can make it really fast, but the premise is that, just kind of any construction job-based business, and we got probably about I'd say a fourth of our customers are, kind of just straight, remodelers. A fourth is about builders, another fourth is probably individual trades, just kind of specific, trades and contractors, and then the rest are, little mix of all sorts of stuff. But, at the end of the day, like I think for you to basically, leverage this system, you got to be running jobs and, probably more than one job at a time, unless they're, if you're building a home, obviously that's got a lot of moving parts and that can take, 9, 12 months, however long, maybe 6 months if you can do it quicker. But, if you're using subs, definitely, controlling those costs can really be a burden. And so, we've got a tool that'll work for you.
Cool. So guys,
and Tom, you'd ask me though, how do we make it simpler? What's different?
Mm-hmm.
I just want to answer that. I mean, it's really our focus on the UI and that's the user interface, right? So like making sure that it's a well-designed application, that it's something that, you're already familiar using. I mean, everybody's familiar with, Facebook and kind of all the social media stuff. I mean, our system, it's feed-based, so you can see a feed of all the activity from across all your jobs. And so like, as things are happening, they're popping to the top of the feed. And so you can constantly kind of scroll that and see all the updates. If you're running 5, 10 jobs at once, you got crews everywhere, you got bills coming in, you got invoices going out, payments being made, and so this feed aggregates all of that data across all your jobs, and it makes it so that you can easily manage that, from your phone or from your computer. I mean, any web-based device, it's the same exact application. We don't have a different app for iPhone and a different app for Android and a different app for the desktop. We leverage the same application on all of your different devices, and so you get the consistency of that. I mean, a lot of people complain about, they can do one thing on the desktop and another thing on their mobile app. We don't have that issue because we've got it all in one and it's the same application.
So I just posted in the group, you guys, if you have questions for Eric, type it in. I'm going to ask a question while they do that. And then maybe, hopefully the sound won't jack up. Maybe you can share your screen a little here.
Try it again.
But my question is this. This sounds all fine and dandy and awesome and this and that. Eric, how do I get my guys to use it?
And we hear this all the time. We did a big study early on, at the end of the day, like I've constantly heard that, so when I first implemented this at the GC, I got to tell you though, there was one guy in particular who basically hated technology, was the most resistant to change. He would have given you a -2 on your scale of -2 to 2. And what's interesting though is when I sat down with him and I really tried to understand why and address those things and showed him how this was going to make his life easier, he ended up becoming my biggest evangelist. He was the champion. He was the one that went around and was yelling at everyone else when they didn't enter their data or they didn't use the system right. Like he went from kind of being, just the most resistant to it to the biggest champion of it. And, I think what's important is that like you got to help people understand, how it's going to benefit you, and so just like what you said earlier, the way that we implemented this with all of our subs is every single time we did monthly meetings, we sat down with them and we did a little one-on-one, like talk to him like, hey, this is why this is a benefit to you. This is how you're going to now, get your purchase orders and your work orders assigned. This is how you're going to get paid. You submit your photos through here. You upload your bills through here. Like when they began to see how it was going to help us as well as them, they became team players. They said, all right, if this is going to help us, get more jobs and scale the business, and they were all about it, and I think it's about bringing people to the table and having that collective kind of buy-in. Don't just like force it on them, involve them in the process, involve them and help them understand why you're making these changes and how it's going to make you a better, run a better business, figure out what they're most frustrated with. When I ask my subs, I was like, what do you guys, why don't you want to use something? What are you frustrated? Oh, well, the project manager or the salesperson never shared the plans. I didn't get the job specs. I showed up and I didn't have any details. And it's like, okay, well, here, we're going to fix that through the portal. Boom. Now you got access to all that. And it was the greatest thing since sliced bread. They're all about it.
Yeah. Cause everybody wants to know what's in it for me.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't care who you are, you, me, people watching this thing, guys. So if you want to get buy-in, you got to go to them where they're at. And you can't just go do this or you're fired. It's got to be, hey, why is this a benefit to you?
Yep.
This isn't just, I didn't wake up this week and say, I want to make everyone's life more complicated. So I'm going to implement this JobTread thing,
Yep.
So
now with that being said, Tom, one of the things too, when we asked, from, a bunch of our customers who came from other systems, like, well, why did your subs not use it? They said, well, because they had to have a username, a password, they had to download something. So we eliminated all of those barriers and we made it where they can basically just receive a link, like if they'll get an email, they can click a button, it automatically authenticates them, logs them in and lands them straight on that document. So if I send you a work order, Tom, you one click, boom, you're on that work order. You see the details, you see all the plans, you can sign off on it too, and so like that's kind of how we tried to address that, well, I don't want to, I don't want to download it. I don't have any space on my phone. That's kind of our approach to that. Now, look, at the end of the day, no matter what, you're never going to get 100% adoption, by all your subs. And so we have built into our system as well where you can do things on their behalf, so if your sub or your supplier won't submit their pricing through our bid request system, you can still accept the, the PDF or however they give it to you, in the email, whatever, and you can put it in on their behalf.
Cool.
We've given you power to do that. But we've seen a lot of great success so far with the subs and suppliers and all your vendors being able to use it, and a lot of positive feedback about how much better it is than having to take an order over the phone. They'd rather an electronic order all day long. I mean, the details are right there. It's so much easier.
There. Yep. So Eli wants to know how big of a business revenue is recommended for this. I mean,
really, we got people just starting off, brand new companies, all the way up to doing several million in sales. At the end of the day, I mean, you could be a single kind of owner operator running a business, to maybe 15, 25, 50 employees. At a certain point, you're getting massive and you need to get into the enterprise level software. But really any small to medium sized business, I'd say is a great fit here.
Cool. So let's see if we got a few minutes left. Give us a little tour.
Yeah.
Show us under the hood a little bit if you can. And guys, if you have questions, go ahead and type them in and I'll try to get them here.
Let's see. Hopefully this won't do the weird.
Yeah. Like you'll have to mute that thing or whatever.
All right. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Awesome. So this is just, example, kind of example organization here. This is that feed I was showing you. Again, your home dashboard. I mean, you can see all your active jobs, any pending customer orders. If you're waiting for proposals or estimates, change orders, selections, like you can collect online signatures for all of this. Those are all going to show up there. Focusing on your open AR. I mean, I got to tell you, when I took over that GC, like they had hundreds of thousands of dollars in AR, and instead of focusing on collecting the AR, they went and kept borrowing more money from the banks. Like, you got to get paid on what you've already earned. And so we make that front and center here. Any pending work orders, any bills to review, basically you can kind of, this is your jumping off point. Again, you see the feed of all the activity going on. I mean, if your subs have questions on things, they can ask that right there. You can reply directly in here. We got, kind of all this activity going on across your jobs. Down here over on the left is the main navigation. So, if I want to see all my tasks that have been assigned to me, if they're past due, they're red, upcoming, I've got kind of this whole calendar view. I could see what's been assigned, basically to everyone across the entire company, including my subs. So you got your calendars, you got your list of all your jobs here. So this is everything, kind of the open, closed jobs, all the pending orders, approved orders, open invoices. I mean, all sorts of financial data here, and then we've also got custom fields. So like a big thing that makes us more flexible and, is that you're able to create custom fields to keep track of, what's relevant to your business. And so you can have that on the jobs.
So what's an example of a custom field for somebody that's not familiar with that term?
So like what type of job is this? Is this like a ground up work? Is this a maintenance job? Is this, a remodel? Another example might be, if you wanted a more in-depth status, you could basically create, whatever, statuses you want. We didn't want to like kind of pigeonhole you into using the software our way or the highway. We allow you the flexibility to keep track of that. If you wanted to track what type of pricing you're using, or, like a customer PO, like, if you're doing commercial work, your customers need to give you a PO before you go step foot on that job site. Yeah. So, create a custom field to keep track of that. Down here in the vendors, I mean, I think probably one of the most important things about your subs and suppliers is, for your subs, it's keeping track of their COIs. When I first started out, we ended up getting audited by our insurance company. They were looking back on the last year's job. They found that 4 or 5 out of our subs, had a lapsed COI. Well, we weren't tracking it. We weren't organized. They fined us $35,000 for the increased, liability that we took on, even though we had 0 issues with any of our jobs. That was quite a hit to the cash flow. I mean, if I pull up this vendor here again, we got all these custom fields. You can completely customize the system to track what's important and relevant to you. And, again, you got your COIs right here. Keep track of it. You got your W-9s. You got any, kind of whatever information you need to keep track of there. And then also, from a CRM standpoint, all of your customers' information, their contacts, kind of their job site. I mean, if I come over here to this one, again, I got a feed of all the activity going on across this one customer. I got those custom fields. I can see all my contacts, one or many contacts. You can have one or multiple locations for a customer. Our system is kind of a hierarchy where you can have customers, locations, and then jobs. A lot of systems out there where it's like every job, even if you're doing a repeat work for the same customer, you got to re-enter all that information. Right. So we've made it where, you put it in once and then you can run multiple jobs. And we got some weather integration, some map stuff. Here's kind of the list of all the jobs there. I mean, if I were to go, let's maybe I'll flip over here to this paint job, because I know that's your specialty. And so over here in the budget, this is where, and this is extremely flexible. You can kind of organize and set up your budgets however you want. For here we got kind of a line by line detail. Maybe on this on this other job though, I did it room by room. So it's kind of however you want to organize your budget. You're able to do that, and it's just a very flexible system. Now you can also view this budget by cost type. So if I want to see all my labor, boom, there's all my labor. There's all my materials. If I want to view it by cost code, as you start to get into kind of looking at that, then I mean, we don't have too many examples. This is a pretty small job, but you can basically organize and view your budget however it makes the most sense to you. Then you can create, I could, if I wanted to come in here and create an estimate, I basically can create from these templates. So you can set up your system to have templates for your bid request. I mean, any customer orders, whether you want to call it an estimate or proposal or contract, change order, they're all really the same thing. And so you can have different terms and conditions and kind of settings for all these different documents. I mean, you want to send your invoice. I mean, is it a deposit? Is it a draw request, an invoice? You know, your work orders. I mean, is it a purchase order, work order? You know, Bill, like you can have different kind of terminology and templates for each of these different types of documents. At the end of the day, though, they're to help you keep track of all of the financials for this entire job. And so you can go through and build out your estimates, send them off, and you got the task and scheduling in here. Try to find one that's got some something already built out. You know, all the files, photos. You know, you can basically upload unlimited files, videos. CAD drawings. I mean, there's all sorts of kind of tools that are available in here.
Well, I love it, man. That's I like the feed. I think the feed's pretty cool on a job. That's unique. I'm not Mr. Techie, but I don't remember seeing that anywhere like this.
Yep. And these are the subs uploading these photos too. So there's the customer portal and the vendor portal. You know, on the vendor portal, I mean, it's the subs that are uploading their progress photos and, you know, showing me where they're at the end of every day. You know, if you're not complete, well, I want to see exactly where you're at. Give me some eyes, give me some video, you know, let me see where it is. And then I can go through and I can be like, oh, you know, like I see this here, you know, that doesn't look right. You know, you need to, you know, I could say, you know, this needs, you know, to be fixed, right? Like we can kind of go back and forth here on their progress and where they're at and keep track of that.
Sweet. So guys, I got just a couple more minutes here. Do you have any questions? Last call for questions here for Eric. If you got them, type them in and I'll do my best to get to them here in the next couple minutes. Eric, what about integrations? Now hold on. Don't get all geeky on me now. Okay. Cause you got to know your audience here, brother.
Yep.
All right. But like just a 30,000 foot flyover of the integrations. What meaning, guys, does this thing talk to other systems, platforms, software, shit like that?
And I'm huge. I mean, on integrations. I mean, I believe you got to automate and streamline wherever possible, and that's where again you got to let the computers do their thing, talk to each other. Mm-hmm. So our application is very integration friendly. You know, we have first class integrations that we built directly into the system. You know, QuickBooks I think is probably the most important integration. You know, anytime an invoice is created in our system or a bill is created, that's automatically pushed into QuickBooks. And then whenever you cut your checks or receive your checks or make your payments, however it may be, you know, that automatically comes back into JobTread and updates it as paid. Now, you can also collect payments directly through our system as well. You know, we've integrated with Slack. Probably though, the biggest integration, you know, is through Zapier. And so that's a way that, you know, essentially we build one integration with this product called Zapier, which integrates with thousands of companies. And so you're able to essentially create, you know, an integration with, you know, thousands of different applications, you know, so like a lot of people, you know, if you got Google Forms or lead capture forms on your website, those will automatically come in and create the accounts and the customers, the leads in JobTread for you. And so that's an example of an integration where you can automate that whole process so somebody doesn't have to manually go in and enter that data. And then when that customer record gets created in JobTread, boom, it's automatically created in your QuickBooks. You know, so there's lots of ways that integrations can really streamline your business. And, you know, it is something that, you know, you got to kind of take on a customer by customer basis. You know, I think the best part of JobTread though is that it unlimited implementation, training, support. Like we're here, we view this as a partnership. You know, we want to partner with every single one of these customers that we have. And so we'll do a deep dive. Our goal is to learn your business and figure out how we can best implement JobTread for you. You know, we find your pain points, we address those first, and then we think about scaling. You know, once you've kind of got the basics down, well, now let's take it up a level. Let's take it to the more advanced level. What integrations can we create? You know, what processes can we implement? You know, how can we take your business to the next level? And that's, you know, I think integrations are kind of a secondary, you know, you got to get your core, your foundation built, and then you can add on to it. And that's where the power of, you know, it's called an API. I won't get too much into it, but, you know, we've got a very strong API to integrate with all sorts of other applications.
All right. A couple people asked about pricing. I put the link, but it's basically $99 a month a user, right?
Yep. That's just for your first user. Now, you know, each additional internal user or full user is only $20 per user per month. Cool. Okay. You know, but it starts at $99, super cheap, super affordable.
Yep. Gigi Holmes wants to know, does this have schedule templates?
So you've got the ability to basically manage out, kind of all of your tasks, your scheduling. We don't yet have the templating. It's one of the top feature requests, because every time I go into demo, I have to build out the example schedule. And so what there is going to be, though, just like how you can set up, job templates and cost group templates, you're going to be able to set up a template, for a schedule. So, let's say it's like a kitchen, remodel you're doing. Like, you can basically have the same task, set kind of the same number of days apart from each other. I mean, they can have, dependencies, things like that. And so you'll be able to add that template. And I expect all this to be coming towards the end of October.
Cool. Dan wants to know our subs users.
So no, all of your subs as well as your customers, those are all unlimited and free. We only charge for your full kind of internal users. So the people who are able to see all your jobs, see your budgets, they can see your sales, your pricing, your cost data, your profits. That's the only thing you're paying for. Otherwise, for all of you, if you have W-2 workers, you can set them up to use that vendor, worker portal, as well as, your subcontractors, your suppliers. Those are all unlimited and free.
Sweet. Is there a job maximum per month, or however many projects we have? Is that included?
Absolutely not. Unlimited jobs. I know exactly. One of our competitors in particular is project based. I've never understood that model. Absolutely not. We want you to be able to grow and scale the number of jobs that you can handle. Concurrent jobs, monthly jobs, however many jobs you can run out of this thing. We're all about it.
Awesome. Well, good stuff, man. So somebody just jumped on late. I tuned in late. I'm a Builder-Trend user. How would I be better off with JobTread? We'll end with that question because we're up against our time here. So
yeah, no, I mean, that's a great question. I got to tell you, ever since, basically Bain Capital bought Builder-Trend, Builder-Trend bought CoConstruct, we've seen a ton of customers that have been switching over. At the end of the day, Builder-Trend is one of those products that I looked at very heavily early on. I've got some experience with. It's just an extremely antiquated application. I mean, they're massive. They got thousands of customers. They're not able to really continue keeping up with the technology curve just because of how large they are. If you ask any of our Builder-Trend switchers, they're going to tell you that our application's a whole lot easier to learn, a whole lot easier to use. They switched over because they felt like they weren't really getting the full usage out of Builder-Trend. I mean, they're only using 25 or 50% of the functions. And so, they came over here and they feel like it's just a lot easier to use. We let you put in your information one time, all of your cost data, you build your budget, and then every single document after that, from your estimates to, your purchase orders, work orders, to your bills, to your invoices, all of that data flows through. So it's single entry, put it in once and it'll flow throughout the entire job. And so that's where, again, we don't have every single bell and whistle quite yet that Builder-Trend has. I mean, they got a lot of functionality, but the feedback we hear is that it's just really complex. People don't really enjoy using the application. And so, I think that's our big difference is, again, we're leveraging modern technology, and our application is a lot easier to use.
Well, good stuff. Well, listen, man, for somebody who wants to learn more about what you got going on, how do they get in touch with you or talk to somebody or do a demo or whatever? How's it work from here?
Look, they just come to our website, JobTread.com. There's a whole lot of information over here. We were just rated, the number 1 construction management software and number 5 overall on Pro Remodelers top 100 product for 2021. But there's a bunch of different information, kind of depending on what type of business you've got. Just our website's full of just great content. But at the end of the day, look, I'd be happy to hop on anytime. Just click on the schedule a demo button. You can basically pick a time. We'll get on there. I'll do a deep dive with you. Let me show you the product. I'll walk you through it, and you'll pretty quickly see the difference between us and everything else out there.
I love it. Well, Eric, I appreciate you hanging out with us here tonight for about an hour. And guys, listen, if you have a bunch of chaos in your damn business, you're not getting paid, you're being the typical contractor, letting things fall through the cracks, pissing people off with the experience you're given, then at the very least, schedule a demo. At the very least, just go to the website and fart around a little bit, then schedule a demo, and give it a shot if you ain't using something, or if the thing you have now you're not using to its full potential or ain't meeting your needs or whatever it is, guys. I think one of the things we try to do here in the fight, y'all, is build good relationships with people like Eric that know what they're really doing, and that they're in it for the right reasons. And we actually, to the best of our ability, we vet the people that I put in front of you guys. And I just, let's trust me, we wouldn't be here tonight if I didn't think it'd be worth your time. So, Eric, I really appreciate you hanging out with us tonight. And
appreciate you having me on, Tom. And
yeah.
I'm super excited to be in Denver with you next week, and look forward to meeting all the the FWs out there at the show, and we'll give them a hands-on demo right there at the at the summit.
Yeah, for those of you that are in Denver, make sure that you go introduce yourself to Eric, and hang out a little bit. And he's him and his company are helping make this event possible. So give them that courtesy of just having a conversation. And everybody's saying thanks and blah blah blah. All right, good deal. So you just said next week in Denver, and I went, holy shit, that's next week already.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's already here.
Nuts, man. It's nuts. Well, awesome. Well, those of you that are coming to Denver, can't wait to see you guys. Eric, look forward to seeing you in Denver as well. And everybody head to JobTread.com. Did I get that right? Yeah.
Yep.
It's nothing fancy, right? It's just JobTread.com. That's what I thought it
Yep.
was. All right, there you go. And check out what they got going on. Dude, really appreciate you. Thanks for everything, and you have a good night, man.
All right. Great talking to you, Tom.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.